Hey, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the ENFP. Wait, what?
Sorry, but that's a copyrighted intro.
Right. Hey guys, it's your girl Michelle. I've been on here before, and if you haven't seen me, and what I wanted to talk about today is how ENFPs use their extroverted thinking, or TE. Because I think a lot of you think that ENFPs are just illogical, irrational crazies who just want new, exciting things all the time, and that we don't have any logic that structures our lives.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I will counter that with, we are actually one of the more logical introverted types, but we're just not the INTP kind of logic. Sorry, we don't have introverted thinking. We can't just make things that logically make sense. I mean, it's not that we can't, it's just we don't like to. It's kind of boring to live life that way. And also, it just hurts our brain a lot to do that when we're just solely focused on gathering all this new information that feels good, that seems good. It doesn't matter if it's logically coherent. If it gives that like aha moment, that's what really matters. I was watching a video the other day by TheEndlessKurtis, which was really good.
We'll link him in the description.
He talked about the differences between the INFP and the ENFP, and I think he made some really good points about how to tell the difference, because ENFPs are very engaged in our external world. Even if we're not the most outgoing of people, we might not be the most extroverted extrovert, but we do interact with our world a whole lot more than, say, an INFP will. The first thing to note about an extroverted thinker in the third slot, in that position, we love to use it. It's our pride and joy. It's what excites us to show off to people. It's what we really wish we were really great at and how we feel like we can help other people. I'm not gonna lie, it makes a whole lot of sense for me, as in all of my jobs, I have gone in and I'm like, hey, if you do this, this, and this, it'll make this easier for you. Or like, hey, if you do this, it'll make this more perfect. And hey, if you do this. And honestly, people thought I was a B word. Can I say that? Can I say that word? You're monetized. Probably not. They thought I was a B word. I wasn't trying to tell them they were doing it wrong. I was trying to show them a better way of doing it. However, my 19-year-old self didn't know how to do that nicely. I thought I was being nice. I thought I was being helpful. I was giving them some TE constructive criticism that if was given to me, I would gladly soak up and recreate instantly. They thought I was telling them that they were doing a horrible job and that they needed to fix their stuff. And I wasn't trying to do that. And I think that's a habit that we ENFPs have. If there is an extroverted thinking problem, if there is something that needs to get done and you want to find a better, more effective solution, the ENFP is going to be all over that. But unlike our extroverted thinking leads like ESTJs or ENTJs, we are going to come up with multiple solutions more than likely. We can be a little annoying with that, especially younger, because we're like, this is it. This is the best solution ever. And then we come up with the best solution ever 2 minutes later. And yeah, I can definitely see how it'll be annoying, but I also think that that's one of our greatest strengths, is that we like doing that. Because it also, the other thing about extroverted thinking being in the third slot is it's not as accurate and prominent as somebody who has it higher up. So sometimes we're right and sometimes we're just complicating things and not making it any better. But we think we are, and that's really what matters, isn't it? Right? No? Okay. Another point that Curtis made was that ENFPs are more likely to want to do the extroverted thinking things, whereas INFPs are more likely to outsource, such as to an ESTJ or ENTJ. I agree with that, and I would like to add to that, ENFPs do really like working with ENTJs and ESTJs. I think that there's a natural synergy, especially when it's in the workplace or when we're trying to accomplish something, finish a goal, get something done. I think that ENFPs like learning from people with strong extroverted thinking because it's a practical tool that we can use. I have really liked people who have extroverted thinking as their lead. However, I don't like getting super close to them. They're not going to become my best friend by any means. I will keep a healthy emotional and psychological distance from them, but I do really like what I can learn from them, and I will look to them as kind of mentors in the extroverted thinking realm because they think about it more, they're so much more efficient at it, and I have a lot to learn from them. With an ESTJ and ENFP, we're in an activity relation. And what this means is that we're going to have a lot of initial synergy when we're working on things together, kind of like how I mentioned earlier. Even for example, there is an ESTJ who just came into my work. We did a merger between two companies. He came from the other company and he's come in and he's making some changes. And the first time we met, instantly we hit it off because he wanted to make things work better and I was like, things need to work better. Let's make this happen. I'll help you, I'll convince other people that you're the bomb. Like, I was just all about all the things that he wanted to do. As I have worked with him more, I'm realizing how other people do not like his way of communication. Whereas the first time I met with him, we were just joking. It was really relaxed. And I really liked his ideas. And so it's interesting that we got along so well initially. I really enjoyed the way that his extroverted thinking was trying to make changes and make changes for the better. Not all the people like that because he didn't really explain why it worked or how it worked because, ignoring that TI, he just was like, this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna have a really great solution. I'm like, I'm all about it. Because the thing is, I don't care about introverted thinking either. You don't need to explain the logical reasonings behind it all. If you can show me that it works, great. Let's freaking do it. The other extroverted thinking lead, the ENTJ, I also tend to have really good synergy with at work. And this happens with almost every ENTJ that I meet in the workplace. And you guys have to know, at work, my ISTJ comes out a little bit more because I do a job where I do a lot of spreadsheets and I do a lot of organizing and I do a lot of just trying to make systems more efficient. That's like my job. Like literally my job is to try to make systems more efficient while also doing random other stuff. So ENTJs and I get along really well as well because we both have this TE goal that we want to accomplish, which is making the system better. And what I really like about ENTJs is they have that introverted intuition. They're like, okay, if we do this, this is going to be the outcome. And they can actually start from the outcome and work their way backwards. And I really like that. What they gain from me is how to say things nicely, because I think an ENTJ more than an ESTJ is interested in being less direct, because an ENTJ does want to convince other people of their extroverted thinking plan because they want to get people along with them. They want to get people to do it. And I've had a lot of synergy working with ENTJs because I can come in and help convince people of their plans while they can focus on making the plans. And vice versa, I can learn from them how to be more direct because I'm a little conflict avoidant because I don't like conflict for any reason. So they can show me ways to be more direct while saying what I mean, and I can use my own personal fear of conflict to dial it down, get the point across without being mean. So I really like ENTJs. In socionics, it's called a benefactor-beneficiary relation, where I'm the benefactor and the ENTJ is benefacting from me. I've definitely seen that ENTJs are drawn to me, and I think it's like my excitability, my interest in their ideas, and my just overall people skills that they really like and want to emanate. So we do get along a lot. I think when we get really close, it's not as good. Again, neither of the TE leads do I get along really well with if I get very, very close, but I have a lot to learn from their extroverted thinking, and I really like being around them, so long as I don't get too close. ENFPs will seek out new information so long as it serves some kind of extroverted thinking purpose. I have found that I will seek out a lot of information that I think will help me accomplish something. However, this is something that we don't talk about which is when ENFPs watch things that they don't gain anything from. I don't think I'm alone in saying when I watch things that I literally got no value from, I feel bad. I feel gross. I feel like I've wasted my time. I feel like I try to scrape together any semblance of something that I can gain from the thing that I just wasted my time on. I'm like, surely there must be something I can gain from it. And that's a thought going through my head all the time. What can I gain from this situation? What can I learn? What can I use later on? What is practical information that can be added to my arsenal, compounded with another idea, compounded with another system, and make me better? And what often happens if I do something that I just, no matter what, cannot find the reason for why I watched that or what I gained from that, I feel physically ill that I've wasted my time, and I get really hard on myself. I beat myself up because I've just wasted all that time watching something that had no value to me. For instance, I had a little kick last year of watching a lot of makeup videos. And what did I gain from watching a bunch of makeup videos? Well, I learned about some gossip. I learned how different makeup artists put on makeup, which I don't wear. I wasted so many times. I mean, their videos are long. I don't know if you've ever watched a makeup tutorial, but their videos tend to be 20 to 30 minutes long, and I would watch them sometimes for an entire day. I would just binge all these different makeup videos, gaining literally nothing. That really sat heavily with me. I wasn't very productive learning that information. I came up with a quote to put on my bullet journal that was a reminder to me, which was filter the information that I take in so that it's all stuff that I can use, that it's all stuff that is practical. And it's kind of funny because you would think that an ENFP would want to gather as much new information as possible because just the sheer idea of having new information is exciting in and of itself. However, I have found personally that if it doesn't have a practical use, I kind of hate it. I really don't like that kind of information. I feel like I've wasted my time, and I feel like it's not good for me to waste time on that. And that's where the FI comes in, because it's like, do I value this information? Do I like this information? And we're much more focused on that. Whereas an INFP could probably be more likely to watch things that they don't really have a practical application for, because they just, okay, they might do the same thing. They might binge watch a whole lot of makeup videos, but their response is going to be, those are some pretty makeups. I really like the way that those people look in that makeup. And my response is, I just wasted time watching these people do their makeup. What have I done with my life? Why am I so lazy? Those are the thoughts that go through my head. It's terrible, and it's annoying, and it's frustrating. As an ENFP, I really like meeting new people. Obviously, I meet new people all the time. Since I've gotten into this community, before I had no friends, now I have too many friends that it's almost too hard to keep up with, and this is a recurring problem that I've had in my life, where I meet someone who's super interesting. Right off the bat, I want to learn everything there is to know about them. I don't want to know about their day. I want to know about the deep, dark secrets within their soul. I want to learn how they got to where they are. I want to know the progress that they went through in their life that led them to the place that they are now. Which, if you think about it, is quite TE. I want to learn how their life worked, which got them to the point that they're at now. Because I want to know if there's anything I can learn from it or learn to avoid. That's another thing. I always look if I meet someone who has a really messed up life and they've done a bunch of shit that's got them in a whole lot of trouble, you can bleep that out, by the way, Nathan. If they did a whole lot of stuff that was bad, I can watch that and feel like, okay, I see where they went wrong and why they went wrong. I'm gonna avoid doing that. It's messed up, I know, but that's just how my brain works. I just am fascinated by people and how they got to where they are, how they work, and it's always if I can learn something from people. So a tendency that I have, and I'm sure other ENFPs, you guys can relate to this as well, is that once a person has given you all the information that you think you're going to learn from them, your interest level in them drops. However, you always have this FI connection to them. You always feel connected to them, like you really love them, and you love a lot of people. If you're an ENFP, you love everybody. If you've gotten close to somebody, you feel a connection to them, and you're never gonna forget them. You might temporarily not think about them, but you're not gonna forget them. There's lessons that you learn from every single person. But what happens when they become less interesting is you don't have the desire to reach out because somebody else is more interesting now. Somebody else has more to give you right now. And that is something that I have always felt bad about, is that it's really hard for me to keep interest in people. There are some people that are able to maintain this interest for me over a long period of time, but will also go through dips where I don't reach out to them for a long time, so that when I do reach out to them, we have a lot to talk about. And also, if I reach out to somebody and I don't have anything interesting to say, I feel like it's a waste of time. When you think about it, it really has a lot to do with that extroverted thinking. What is there to gain from this conversation? What is there to gain from getting to know this person more? That's a kind of question that is kind of below the surface, always being asked. It's not constantly like, I'm not fully aware of this question always being asked until I get to those moments of self-reflection where I'm like, why am I like the way that I am? Why am I like this? ENFPs have a tendency to off-source their decision-making onto other people. Now, I'm not saying all decisions. I'm not saying that we ask everybody to answer all our questions. We're pretty good at being decisive in the moment when the moment calls for it. But if it's something that we have time to think about, if it's something that because the thing is, with our extroverted intuition, we see the possibilities. So say we have an option that's like, we can go to this, we have something to gain, but our introverted feeling doesn't like this situation. We don't want to go because we're like, I don't really want to go. I have other things I'd rather do. But our TE is like, but you have something to gain. They asked you, like, come on, let's just do it. We will off-source that decision onto somebody else. I personally have a few trusted people where I have tested them time and time again, and they've proven that their decision making is stronger than mine and I can rely on it. I will reach out to them in such situations and I'll be like, what should I do? Time and time again, they're gonna tell me to do what my FI tells me to do, and that's why I have these people to off-source my decisions to. And you might say, well, Michelle, if you know what they're going to tell you, then are you really off-sourcing your decision, or are you just making it seem like you are? That's a really great point, and kind of both. But that was something I thought was really important, that we do off-source our decision making when we can, especially if it's a decision we don't want to make, which there are plenty of decisions we don't want to make, which is why I don't think ENFPs like being in a position of leadership. We love championing things. We love championing ideas, championing people. That's a hard word to say, championing. Okay, I'm sorry. We love championing ideas and people, but we don't necessarily like to deal with the tedium of telling other people what to do to accomplish that goal. We'd much rather have somebody be a leader so we can come up with the ideas. So we like to be second in command, I think, where we have a lot of influence on the decisions that are being made, especially when it comes to the overarching goal or idea, but we don't want to have to be the actual one to lead and head that goal, because here's what happens when we head that goal or when we head that decision. Then we're responsible for it. And what if our mind changes? What if we change our decision later on? What if, somebody gets mad because of this decision that we've made? We don't like having to deal with that kind of responsibility. And yes, I know that that's selfish, but I think that's also kind of part of what goes on. Another thing that I wanted to mention about the off-sourcing of our extroverted thinking decisions is that a lot of times it's going to be regarding introverted thinking things. I know I mentioned an example of should I go see this person and gain something or do my own thing, but this really, really heavily goes to, is this logically consistent? I will constantly outsource that question. I don't fully care. If something's useful, I don't fully care if it's logically consistent, but if I need to know if it's logically consistent, if I need to have confirmation that this idea is going to work, or this idea is logical, or that XYZ, especially when it comes to introverted thinking, I will outsource that knowledge from other people. I'll be like, what do you think about this? And that's why I really like ENTPs and ESTPs and INFJs because that introverted thinking is really strong, but it's not their lead. And so I feel like I can ask them and they'll understand where I'm coming from and they'll give me a really good, reliable answer to whether or not this is logically correct. We love practicality. We might be one of the most practical feelers out there. I think that is a high possibility. What do you guys think? Are you an ENFP? Do you agree with anything that I've said? Are you like, man, I have never seen an ENFP like this, but also I might wager that maybe they're not an ENFP? Because you know, no one's the type that they say they are. I mean, I'm just saying. Don't forget to like and subscribe.